Happy day, Joy Starter. Hope you're having the best day. Yes, I am rocking, if you're watching the video version of this, my super patch, my Zen patch. I still love them. I still use them. If you have questions, we'll drop a link in the show notes. I love my super patches. Also, I want to say about this week's episode is I'm so stoked to take you back in the vault. If you haven't heard me say, this year is 10 years of I'm Changing the Narrative. 10 years of I'm Changing the Narrative. And so we're taking you back in the vault of some of my most amazing talks from the very beginning. And this is something that people have constantly requested from me over the 10 years. I want to hear your talks. I want to hear your talks. I wish I could go with you. So enjoy, take notes. This is a message while it's changed, and it changes every single time that I go in and speak, because like at Minnesota, I've been once a year. So my message changes every year. But the foundation of the message is the same, y'all. And I'm so proud. Please remember, as always, to like, subscribe, share this with one person, persons, 10 persons that need to hear this. Love you guys.
Tonight.
Looking forward to this young lady coming up next. She's her name is Rachel Baribeau, and she's an award-winning storyteller, inspirational speaker, author, and transformative coach, known for founding I'm Changing the Narrative movement to inspire positive change among student athletes and young individuals. Please help me welcome to the Sports Visions Morning Show, Rachel Baribeau. Good morning, Rachel.
Good morning, guys. How are you?
Wonderful, wonderful. I tell you what, you're looking beautiful down there. You're looking successful. You're looking prosperous, man. Tell me all about what's been happening with you.
Oh my gosh, DJ. I'm just smiling watching you guys do this radio show, because that's where I got my start. All these years ago, you were brave enough to put a young Auburn graduate on the air with you 2 days a week. I still remember the building we were in and everything. And it was, it was on television, it was on the radio. And that was the beginning of my sports radio career. Had I stayed in traditional news, nothing wrong with it. They didn't have a spot in sports at that moment. So they said, you're going to have to cut your teeth and in regular news. And I bet on myself. I think way back then, that was like, as young as I was betting on myself, and you gave me that opportunity, DJ. I just want to say one thing, man. You have launched so many careers by making space for people and giving people an opportunity. So thank you for that. Thank you. I'm saying thank you for all the people that, that aren't here this morning. And so yeah, everything's good. I'm down here in Florida. 10 years of I'm Changing the Narrative. 10 years of a bold idea.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
I saw a need. Yeah.
Absolutely. But you made one statement that I don't think people really understand. I understand it. I get it, because again, I did it myself. But betting on yourself. Elaborate a little bit. Elaborate if you will.
Yeah, so there's the safe route, and the safe route would have been traditional news. That would have been that would have been it. But I knew in my heart, like in my deepest part of my heart, that I was meant to be a sportscaster, and I knew that's what I needed to be doing. And I had already gotten a taste of it, in terms of the different internships and the different things I had done. And I knew that's what I was supposed to be doing. And I think, man, so many of us, I'm writing my second book. I had a best-selling book come out a couple of years ago called Relentless Joy. And I'm working on my second one. But I think so many people are disconnected from their own souls today. We are so distracted. Again, I'm grateful for technology. It means I can show my face on your radio show and your and the video part of it and all of that. But so many people are distracted today. They're distracted by technology and AI, and they're busy, and they haven't heard their own soul. They haven't heard their own voice inside their soul, inside their heart, of what they can do, what they should be doing in a really long time. And so if you take one thing from my visit this morning, people that are listening, get quiet, put the phone down, put AI down, put it down, put the stuff down, man, go analog. There's a huge movement right now. I don't know if y'all know this, but there's a huge movement afoot right now where bookstores are popping up, like indie bookstores, big bookstores. People are going back to flip phones. They're going back to old school journals and knitting, and people are tired of the noise. And so I know that I was supposed to do that with you, but it would not have happened unless one, you made a way for me, and two, I had insane courage to do what I was supposed to do.
Rich, I got to say, it's an honor. This is the first time I've meeting you face to face. I was living up in Atlanta.
Yeah.
It was 2012, 92.9 The Game just launched, and I remember the afternoon drive, you, Cordell Stewart, and Carl Dukes. It's bringing back a lot of memories. And then I later found out that you got your start here in Columbus.
Yes.
And I think that that's inspiring, especially for broadcasters to know that they can make it anywhere. Talk about that journey going from Auburn to Columbus to Atlanta to now Florida.
Yeah, it's crazy. It makes me tear up a little bit. DJ knows this, but like when I finally got out of Columbus, and I say that didn't come out right, but when I actually left Columbus and moved on, I had done everything you could do in Columbus. I mean, I was, sideline reporter for the indoor football team. I was
Nice.
radio show. Any job you could have, we covered NASCAR. DJ and I covered NASCAR. Like any job that I could have done, I did it in Columbus. And I remember I had an agent early on, possibly earlier than I needed, but he was like, hey, to make that jump, you're going to have to get out of here. You're going to have to do that. And it's a crazy story. I'll keep it condensed for time this morning, but the economic downturn had happened, and we got called in like literally day of and said, hey, there's no longer a show. All of our sponsors have pulled their money because of the economic downturn. And we were like, what? And so I went home and cried for a few days. Early 2000s, I went home and cried for a few days, and then went again, another one of those bootstrap moments, and went, I'm not supposed to go down like this. And I went and I begged a friend for a credential to SEC Media Days. And I said, I'll do anything. I'll get coffee. I'll take notes. I'll do whatever it takes. And so he got me the credential, and I went to him and I said, what do you need? And he said, I don't need anything. And I said, really? I said, but I can help you. And he said, just go in there and, whatever you need, you do what you do. So I went into, back in the day, it was called the Radio Internet Room. And I went in there. I was one of the only females, probably the only female, probably 30 to 50 people in there at that time, in those years. And I showed up early and I stayed late. And I showed up early and I stayed late. And every coach, it would be a chorus of people asking at the same time. Every coach comes in, player, and I would just outlast them. And I would stand on chairs. And I was auditioning for myself, for my future job, right? And so by the end of it, the third day, a gentleman taps me on the shoulder and he goes, wow, you are something else. And he said, how would you like to come to Tuscaloosa, Alabama and cover the Crimson Tide football team? And I said, yes, are you kidding me? And a year later, I was on the sidelines of the Rose Bowl covering a national championship for Alabama, and got to cover arguably the best college football coach at the best time in Nick Saban. Then went on to 92.9 The Game, then went on to become the first female host on Sirius XM on their collegiate channels. So it was quite a run. So thank you for listening back then, and thank you for supporting me.
Now you got to go back to this, because I know, this will definitely make waves. The first female host on Sirius XM ESPNU.
Yeah, man. Woo! You make me cry this whole interview this morning.
Go ahead and cry. Go ahead. Cry.
I remember, I got it then. I definitely got it then. And there was another opportunity, a different sports agent. There was another opportunity. I was living up in Nashville by that time. And he said, you may have to move to Chicago. And I said, no, I'm not going to do that. I said, I'm good here. And then there was a different opportunity that I was up for. And I remember he said something to me, this sports agent said something to me that I'm writing about in this next book. He said, oh, you'll never get that job because you're a female. And I remember hanging up the phone and just sitting on my stairs and crying and thinking, I want to quit, over my gender. Right. And I remember I was coaching a number of young female sportscasters at the time, because I never had a female guide me. I had people that helped me from time to time, but I didn't have a full on mentor, and I wanted to be that for people that I did not have. And I remember one of them saying to me, but if you quit, what will I do? And I thought, that's when it hit me. Like, I got the significance of being the first female.
Yeah.
And now there are multiple females on that channel. And I'm like, Yeah, man, like I helped usher that in, and it was a beautiful time. Yeah.
Rachel Barbeau is our guest this morning on the Sports Visions morning show. And Rachel and I go way, way back and to the very
Yes.
beginning. But man, I tell you what, we're so proud of what you're doing now, Rachel. Listen, at one of your gigs last year, you were invited to speak at the NFL draft to the NFL players. And then you have a relationship with the league that they're calling on you to come in with your new company. Share that information, please.
It's insane. I'm like, God, what are you doing? Like he's blown my mind. He blows my mind on a daily basis, but it's blown my mind throughout my career with these opportunities. But I need to say this, he's blown my mind, but that it also requires you get your shovel. You got he will make a way for you, but you got to do the work, baby.
That's
You
right.
know, people that are sitting on their couch today, I'm talking to you, man. You got to get up off the couch. You got to put in the application. You got to make the call back. You got to be relentless. You got to find that fine line between stalking somebody and being persistent or ride the heck out of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so a couple of years ago, 2 years ago, on my mama's birthday, she's in heaven. I developed this relationship and I get this invitation a couple months before to present to all 32 NFL player engagement
Wow.
executives. Every team had their player engagement team there, and I got to present to all 32 of them at the NFL annual meetings. So to put it in context for people out there, as a speaker, it is like going to the Olympics. I was one of two chosen in the entire world to do this. And so I presented to them like I would present to any male team, which I present a lot. I'd say 80% to male teams. I do work with women too. And it's called The Soul of a Man. And it's all about boundaries, soul care, loving yourself. We're teaching men to protect, provide, and perform. And baby, I want you to do all those things, but I also want you to love yourself. I want you to know who you are outside of your work, outside of your identity, outside of your talent. I want you to be able to have boundaries because that's the greatest form of self-care and soul care. I want you to have great interpersonal relationships. I want you to be able to express yourself. Men by and large, and I'm painting with a broad brush, are not the communication is not their number one skill as it is for women. Other things come first to men. So I want men to be able to communicate. I want that. I don't want that. I want to go there. I don't want to go there. That makes me feel good. That doesn't make me feel good. And especially when you have an influx of money or wherever you are as a man. And so I presented that. And then I've now worked with the 49ers. The Jags are my home team. I work with them over and over and over again. And I'm heading out to work with the Minnesota Vikings early June. And so it'll just continue. The purpose of that showcase is that the teams then bring you in. And I was with the Jags rookies last November, right before they went on the run in the playoffs. And I'm not saying I had a part of it, but I had a tiny part of it.
Yes, you did.
Yeah. Rachel, you truly have been an inspiration. And I hope that young female up and coming broadcasters are listening to this interview because we got some here in this city. I've gotten to know female sports directors in other markets. Now females are calling games. They're hosting studio shows for the NFL. Talk about just kicking down that door. And then what advice would you give for these young and up and coming female broadcasters that just want to not only get into the industry, but really make an impact and stand above all their peers, including, in a male dominated industry?
Yeah, absolutely. It's funny you asked that. I would absolutely go find your own DJ. Go find somebody to champion for you. You need women in a male dominated industry need men who will stand beside them, who will make space for them, who will stick their neck out for them. You know, I teach this a lot too. But we need to in this world be willing to stick our neck out for people. It is an honor for me to stick my neck out for you, for me to connect you, for me to use my reputation and my good name to make a way for you. And that's exactly what DJ did for me. He did not have to do that, but he did that. And without that, and without a few other people like DJ in my career, I would not have ever gotten the opportunities. TJ Cutini was another one. My producer, he was the director at ESPNU at SiriusXM, and he ultimately made that decision to bring me on. I could have fallen flat on my face. I could have fallen flat on my face when DJ said yes, but he saw something in me, and I don't know what that was you saw in me, DJ, but I have to thank you. But you definitely, as young women, or whatever age you are, find an ally, find a man who has made strides in the industry that you want to be in, if it is male dominated, particularly sports, and learn from them. That's the other thing. You don't know it all. You better be humble. I have been humbled so many times, whether I wanted to or whether, so you've got to be humble. You've got to be willing to learn. You don't know it all, and be a sponge. And here's the only other thing I would say right now is, uh, half of, I'd say a small amount of my talent got me places. The biggest part of what got me places was my reputation, that I was easy to work with, that I liked people, that I was a people person, that I played well with others in the sandbox. If you are a turd, that reputation will precede you.
Yes,
If you are
yes,
hard
yes.
to work, yes,
Yeah.
DJ,
Yeah.
yeah, it- yeah,
Rachel, if you will, and I want you to go there. We're going to make some people uncomfortable, but that's okay. That's what we're here
Yeah.
for. Because again, it's all about making them better.
Yeah.
You made mention of, getting up early, staying late, doing what you don't want to do and don't think you know it all. Go ahead and elaborate. Because again, we got some people that think that they can Google or they can do the AI and learn this stuff. You gotta put in real work. You got to put in real hours. You got to touch real people. You got to form real relationships. And the only way you're going to get it is to humble yourself and dive in head first.
Yeah, absolutely. Baby, if you ain't willing to put in the work, this is not the industry for you. I had a young woman, I go to church with her grandfather, and he asked me if I would speak to her, and she's a junior at Auburn, and we went back and forth for a little bit, and asked her some hard questions. I said, are you willing to work weekends, nights, early mornings? Are you willing to work on game days? Are you willing to work sometimes 18 hours on your feet, 17 hours on your feet? Are you willing to do that? Because one of the biggest things, are you willing to be away from your family? Are you willing to be away on holidays? Are you willing to be in the other room doing interviews or getting ready or gassing up the car? Or are you willing to be a one-man band? Are you willing to go out, set it up, start the camera, shoot your piece, come back, edit it, upload it? Are you willing to do that when other people are not? Because that's the distinction. And she said, oh my gosh, I hadn't thought about that. I said, yes, these are the things that I need to tell you. Now, if you still, after all of that, still want to do this, then go for it. But this is not as glamorous as it seems. Y'all both know this. Y'all both know what it takes. You both know the preparation. You both know the long nights. You both know the pay as you climb the ladder. And so people need to know that it is not easy. It's not glamorous. I loved my career. And up until about 7 years ago, I thought that I would be a sportscaster for the rest of my life. God had different plans for me. He brought me this mission. He created me for it. He molded me for it. He made me do something, girl. And then he said, here's a problem. And Rachel, I have appointed you to be able to help fix it. Not to eradicate it, because you don't have that much power. And I don't want that much power. He's God. I'm not. But I can help. I can use my brain, my voice, my heart to be able to fix it. And so people need to understand that, DJ, and both of y'all. Here's the other crazy thing, y'all. Y'all ready for this? The other crazy thing is as I was having a conversation with somebody about this yesterday, y'all. As AI is wonderful in a lot of things, it is wonderful in medical technology and all these different things it is doing. But y'all, there is also, as I mentioned at the beginning of the show, there's this turn right now where people can notice your AI writing. They can notice where you've taken corners with AI, and they notice your AI videos. And even on social media, which we need social media to be able to, push clips and push our shows and do it. There's this deal where people want the opposite of AI right now. They want less produced. They want less perfect. They want more raw. The head of Instagram just came out and said that we want more real. With it, that I even read the other day that there's going to be something in the next 5 years where at the bottom of it it said certified human instead of certified AI. Like this is certified human. This is a human. Now I use it. I will use it. But I encourage people to use it sparingly. There's also another study, you ready for this one, that said that people that let AI use it for things that they would have used their brain for before. Oh, what hair color do I do? What I pack? Where do I go? Things that they would have reasoned before, that their brain output, their brain, when they study the brain, is turning off at an alarming rate because they are not using their brain. Listen to me, people. When you can use your wherewithal, your want to, your hustle, your body, your mind, the human that you are, the miracle that you are, use it. Yeah.
Good stuff. Good
Yeah.
stuff.
Rich, I've noticed that as I've gotten into broadcasting in the last couple of years, that
Yeah.
the industry has changed. Now we have different platforms. Not only do we have the radio, but we have Facebook and YouTube, and we're able to have this on here. And then we also have the podcast with Apple and Spotify. Because the industry has changed, it's given opportunities for anybody to start their own podcast.
Yeah.
Do you think that is smart for people to get into? And is that something that, like, you've entertained the idea, even though you've gone away from that industry? Like, what advice would you give to, like, somebody that, like, they can't get opportunities, so they're just going to do it themselves and just start their own podcast?
Absolutely. Are you kidding me? Look at I was reading something about Justin Bieber, and I'm not necessarily even a Bieber fan, but I was reading it about how he did this really short set recently, but he included YouTube. And one person was complaining about it, but the other person said, dude, he used YouTube. That's how he came up. He used YouTube. So it was an ode to YouTube. Use the tools that are in front of you. Baby, if you got $5, make that $5 stretch. And I know that's hard today, but make that $5 stretch in the best way possible. If you've got a telephone, if you've got an Instagram, you can start doing content on your phone today. I have a friend, his name's Sean French, and he's got a top 5 podcast in the world, and I'm on his podcast network, and he started with a phone in his car. Now he's interviewing celebrities, and it's very highly produced, and he's doing all of these things. But he said, just start. It's the same thing with writing a book. A friend of mine said one of the greatest pieces of advice she gave me, and I told somebody yesterday, was just write. So right now, my book is due in August. 55,000 words. I'm at about 20,000. And right now I'm not editing. I'm just writing. I'm just getting it out there, and then I'll go back and I'll touch it, and I'll edit it, and I'll do all the things I need to do. But right now I'm just writing. So if you've got something in front of you and that's it. This goes back to what we talked about at the beginning. If you know you have something in your heart, a calling in your heart, like I knew I had, I wasn't going to take the TV news job. I went with DJ. I went with the unsure thing. I bet on myself. At that moment, I became an entrepreneur. I became somebody who bet on themselves a freelancer is what I call it. And I had jobs where I had a 401k, and I had a salary and all that. But by and large, there were a large number of gigs that I had in my career where I was a freelancer. And DJ knows this. I didn't get paid unless I hustled. I didn't get paid unless I went out and got another job, got another gig. And so oftentimes those multiple paychecks would make up enough money to be able to get groceries and pay my rent. And so takes a self-starter. And here's the other thing I'll say to people. Somebody's listening to this right now and they're going, well, I'm not a self-starter. I'm not outgoing. Baby, if you're breathing, there's still time. If you're breathing, there's still time to change. I rode in a cab with a lady, an Uber, years ago, and we started talking. She said, I got to tell you something. She goes, just a couple of years ago, I never would have had this conversation with you. I said, what are you talking about? She said, I was born a pessimist. I was born to negative parents. I was a negative Nancy. And then she said, one day I got sick and tired of myself. I got sick and tired of being sick and tired. So I went on a study of positivity, a study of love, a study of being outgoing. She said, I studied every book. I studied podcasts. I studied like my life depended on it. She said, now I'm not negative. Now I'm having a conversation with you. So it's a cop out of the highest degree to say, this is who I am, and that's who I was born, and that's how I'll always be. If you are still breathing, there is still time for you to be everything that you want to be. Many people start foundations, start businesses, start gigs in their 40s, in their 50s, even in their 60s. So if you're still breathing, there's still time.
She is an award-winning author. She's an award-winning speaker. Again, I got so many ways to introduce you, Rachel, but we got about 3-4 minutes left.
Okay.
But I got to get you to expound on this. When
Yeah.
when you're chosen by these major universities
Yep.
and in professional football teams to come in and speak to the young men, and hopefully at some point it'll be young ladies if you hadn't already started on the collegiate and professional rank. What is your mission? What is your story? What do you try to stress to these young men?
Yeah, it's called changing the narrative, and my whole goal is to get somebody to know themselves and love themselves. My whole goal is, and I do speak to women, by the way, as well. Just happen to be predominantly men, but I love speaking to women. And now it's expanded out, DJ. It's crazy, y'all. I now speak to corporations. I work with healthcare corporations. I'm consulting with a company that's building naval submarines right now.
Wow.
Like, what? Like, what? So my whole goal is to get you to know yourself, love yourself, to be able to get you to communicate, over communicate instead of under communicate. My goal is to, I call it soul training is what I do. Soul training. So if you'll go to battle for your teammates, if you'll go to battle for yourself, if you'll have boundaries, if you have great interpersonal relationships, if you love yourself, if you know how to take care of your own soul, and if you have identity, you know who you are outside of being an athlete or a professional or a dad or a sportscaster. That's my whole goal. And we've been doing it now for 10 years, and it's amazing.
Rachel, if somebody wanted to book you today, tomorrow, give us some information on how to get a hold of you.
Yeah, RachelBarbeau.com. That's RachelBarbeau.com, or I'm the letter I, the letter M, changingthenarrative.org. That goes directly to my inbox, and I'm booking for 2027 now, and I would love to work with you. I love to work with all sorts of different groups, and it just makes my heart sing. And I'm just so grateful y'all had me on today. And if I get to come back and talk about the draft, let's do it. But this was just fantastic this morning.
One more time, quickly
Yeah.
let them know where they can get in touch with you.
Yep. I'm the letter I, the letter M, changingthenarrative.org, or RachelBarbeau.com. That's RachelBarbeau.com. Both of those, if you hit contact, go directly to my inbox, not to my handler, not to anybody else. I'm a down-home girl, and I love to connect to people. And if you heard this on socials, send me a message, send me a DM. I love to hear from people. Say, I heard you this morning. I was inspired by you. And it's just been such an awesome time to be able to spend time with you guys this morning, walking down memory lane.
Rachel, we are so proud of you, and have a great rest of your morning, will you?
Yes, thank you both. And congratulations on all your success. And I want to come back really soon.
Will do.
Thanks,
Take care.
Rachel.
All right.